Hello, friends. Thank you very much for joining for today's session. Today, we are going to be having an interview with one of our successful student who has cleared FRM level 1 and level 2 with us. And the idea or the purpose of this interview is to help students who are who joining in for the FRM exams or who are preparing for the FRM exam to get a clear idea how someone has actually cleared the exam in the first attempt, and what were their tricks and tips, what was the methodology that they used, what was the idea, what was the struggle that they had, and what is the benefit that they're getting now after clearing the FRM exam. So that's the purpose of the this interview. And we have with us Sunny Kesarwani. He was our student and he cleared FRM level 1, level 2 both on the first attempt. Okay, and the exam that he appeared was around November 2018 for the level 1 and May
Yeah.
2019 for level 2. So
Level.
I'll just give you a brief introduction of Sunny. So Sunny was primarily working with in an operations team in a bank. Obviously, we'll ask Sunny also to introduce himself. So he was working in operations team. He cleared the FRM exam, and now he's also working in a different bank in a core market risk role. Okay, so thank you very much, Sunny, for joining in and sharing your knowledge, sharing your understanding about the exam and your preparation strategy for the audience. So,
Okay.
so
Yes.
primarily,
So,
what
sorry.
we would like to have your introduction in terms of what were you doing before actually appearing for FRM.
Okay. Yeah. So I was working in actually State Street Intel. So I just had done the graduation only. So I I was working with the third party company. Okay. So it
Okay.
was a joint venture with the State Street, which is a buy side firm, custodian bank, if you know.
Okay.
So I was into reconciliation department. Okay. I had spent almost around 2 years and 7 months there.
Okay.
So it has been very actually big jump for me to getting into Nomura, but but the same division, the operations, and doing the same kind of work. But only difference was it was a from the Y side, it was jump into the sell side of the firm.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
so that was a new experience, but the work was almost kind of the same because we were using the same tool, same reconciliation tool, and yeah. So
Okay.
that was
So
how.
primarily, when you were working for Sintel and you moved to Namura, that was only because of the experience that you had. Okay.
Yeah,
And
actually.
what was the work that you were doing primarily in Namura, or was it operations? What was the nature of the work over there?
Okay, so for in Sintel, I used to work around like we used to perform the manual cash reconciliation of the mutual funds for the some Tokyo banking clients. Okay,
Okay.
so yeah, before the NAV gets posted for the those banks, okay,
Mm-hmm.
those banks mutual funds. So we have to reconcile the cash accounts of those funds,
Okay.
and yeah, provide the data to fund accounting team so they can calculate the NAV and publish it on their bank
Okay.
publish it on their systems. Yeah.
Okay. So primarily the asset side of the NAV calculation was basically reconciled and was given information from your team.
Yes, yes.
And what
Because
kind of, yeah, please go ahead.
no, actually, because the fund accounting team needs the data, the clean
Mm-hmm.
data, because they cannot rely on some anything which is drawn from their systems, accounting system or
Okay.
the custody system. So we have to validate and look for the any discrepancies are there in the custodian book and the accounting book. So
Okay.
that's what
Okay.
we used to, yeah, that's what we
Okay.
used to reconcile.
So you primarily it was more of a day-to-day operations driven activity, if I'm not wrong, right? Just for the benefit of the
Yeah, yeah,
audience.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Okay.
actually.
Okay. And when you moved to Namura, so what was the basic was there any change in the activity that happened in terms of your day-to-day work?
Uh, Change, there was a change of obviously the only the system, but logic remains the same. We have to perform
Okay.
the reconciliation. Yeah, but yeah, kind of the role was actually role was far much better because
Mm-hmm.
previously we used to perform on that application. Now we had the control over that application because other
Okay.
people used to perform the reconciliation. We used to look after whether it is going perfectly or not.
Okay, okay. So if I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah,
wrong, primarily in State Street Sincere, you were working for a client, and there over here now you
yes.
became a part of the client team itself. Am I correct when I'm saying that?
uh, you can say kind of because
Okay,
no because hold no because we were kind of there was a one team assigned in the
okay,
offshore onshore actually, that
Okay.
used to, we were relying on that, because if the reconciliation data is not available, so we'll
Okay.
have to reach out to them that the data is not available. What is the problem? There was a data management team.
Okay.
So when I moved into Nomura, I was actually part of that team. So
Okay.
yeah,
Okay. Got it.
supporting and control function of the all those middle office teams, those who perform the reconciliation. It was
Okay.
not part of the actual proper middle office team who used to support onshore teams or the
Okay.
trading desk. It was a shared services team. So we actually used to
Hmm.
support and control over the middle office team, and they support and control over the onshore teams, which actually the
Okay.
trading desk.
Okay.
So
Got
how
it. Got
you?
it. Got it.
Hmm.
So primarily supporting the middle office team. So when you were working there, what was a trigger point for you to do FRM or any particular certification for upskilling?
Okay, so it was not. Actually, I never thought of doing the FRM first, because
Hmm.
when I moved, I was in the Centrally. If you know, it's kind of a, working in a college actually. So when I moved into, yeah, when I moved into Nomura, so I thought it's time to get serious in your career steps. So
Okay.
I saw very much, even people who were
Hmm.
at the manager and the VP position, they were trying to upskill in their level. So I thought I should be
Okay.
doing this step as well. So I had two thoughts in mind, because everybody was doing that, CFA or the FRM, CFA or the FRM. So
Okay.
I had some colleagues that recommended me, so you should go after the FRM, see if it works for you or not.
Okay. 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 So primarily
Yeah,
you saw a lot of people around you who were also upskilling and your seniors also doing it. That primarily led you to go for FRM as a certification to improve. That's what you're saying, right?
yes,
So
yes,
when
exactly.
you were preparing for it, okay. So let's go by part one and part two as a bifurcation. So
Yeah.
when you were preparing for part one, what was the on an average time, or say for example in months you started preparing? Because if I'm not wrong, you were also working along with it, right? So
Yeah, yeah.
if you talk about the time dedication, what was the time dedication that you had put in for FRM level 1?
Okay. So time, I think I have put it a lot of time rather than average some kind of people, because
Mhm.
I used to work in a buy side firm, and I never had a knowledge of those derivative products or anything, never seen
Okay.
like that. And also it was challenging for me, because I had no that much knowledge of the financial background, because and
Okay.
I didn't know how actually investment banks works.
Okay.
Just to tell you, yeah, so only because I cleared the Nomura interview, because I used to know how reconciliation works. Okay,
Okay. Okay.
yeah. So if you ask me what is this product, what is the trade life cycle, and what this companies do, what is IB2, I didn't know the difference between the investment bank and the custodian bank. So that was a,
Okay. Okay.
yeah, so I had to put extra efforts to understand how those banks works, how their products works, and to get everything. Okay, so if the GAP says you have to put almost 300 hours, so I had to put almost around 450, 500 hours. Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
you
And
can
if
say,
I'm
yeah,
not wrong, so you had a lot of time traveling also from your
yeah.
home to the office. If I'm not wrong, what was the average time that you were traveling?
Yeah, it was around 2 hours one side, 2 hours one side.
Oh God, 2 hours on
Yeah, I
site.
was traveling from the Vivendi to Powai. Yeah,
Okay, okay. So you,
yeah.
if I'm not wrong, you were using that time also for your preparation, right?
Actually, yes, yes. We had, while commuting, I used to, complete one chapters or something, and used to watch videos,
Hmm.
okay, online YouTube or something. Yeah,
Okay, so primarily your theory chapters or any videos that are available, so you used to go through that while traveling, so that you
yes,
do not touch with that, you do not lose that touch with the concepts as such. Okay, and in
yes,
terms
yes.
of preparing for quantitative topics in level one, what was your way of doing it?
Okay. So actually, the FRM drawn my interest because I love the statistics subject. Here, the
Okay.
quant subject.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I had very much interest in that subject, and so quants. I don't think the FRM quants is that much difficult, I would say.
Okay.
It's not that much difficult. It's
Okay.
just the statistics. It's just the advanced statistics, I would say.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, the quants is actually a whole new level. If you go to on a second part of the FRM, and you would see the portfolio credit risk analytics, and you know
Yes. Yes.
yeah, and yeah, if the FRM, I would say the quants thing, if you ask me that, The only difficult would be the Black-Scholes model. That is actually easy to remember if you see. Yeah. So I don't think
Okay.
the cons is that much. Uh, Cons never. You know, I never felt that the cons is difficult for me actually.
But did you had any statistic background in your college or anything?
No, no, I never had. But yeah, I used to put a lot of extra efforts to to cover
Okay.
that subject. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So the reason I'm asking you this question is primarily a lot of queries, a lot of students that we meet on a day-to-day basis. So a lot of them generally ask that FRM is quant driven, and
Mm.
it's very difficult because I've never done quant in my life. I was very not good in mathematics. So so I wanted to definitely break that myth that definite it's not about you having a quant subject or you having a mathematics subject in your college. It is all about how you prepare, how you put in your effort, and if even if you put in effort for like 3 months properly also, that can show you result in right through. So primarily when you talk about preparation, so you were going through Swagger for level 1 if I'm not wrong,
Yes, yes.
and apart from
Schweitzer was
that,
enough for me. Yeah. No, no,
and
I never had. I just used to. Yeah, I was going through Schweizer's and solving the question banks. That's it. That's all I had done.
okay, okay, and while
Yeah.
solving question bank also, you were giving time to each question in terms of how preparation was done, in the sense 1 2 minutes per question, or that mindset was
So
there.
yes. So basic strategy behind the preparation was the divide the subject in chunks. Okay.
Right,
Okay. So yeah, if you see the book 3 and 4, okay,
right.
for the part one, that valuation and the
Hmm.
financial products. So I divided by it in products. Okay, for futures and
Futures
forwards
and options.
different. Yeah, options is different, and then comes our interest rate swaps and the fixed income securities. Okay,
Okay.
so you used to get. So I used to think that I should be getting perfect in each of product. Okay, so if
Hmm.
I started preparing about the forwards or the options or the fixed income securities,
Hmm.
so I should be able to solve each and every questions. Okay,
Right.
if I'm not able to solve that, I'm not actually done that much efforts to you know uh, learn
Hmm.
all of these things. So
Okay.
I used to go back again on the syllabus that what was the missing. Okay,
Okay.
so again you reread, then you come out back to questions. Okay,
Okay.
that was a primary strategy.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. And with respect to the FRM level 1 curriculum, so you
Hmm.
did you find much issue in VAR or book 4 related bond valuation topics? Because a lot of students they face issue in that. So what's your take on that? Because you have already been through that road.
Yeah, yeah. That was actually the most difficult phase for me
Okay.
because yeah, because if you see the forwards and futures or the options
Mm-hmm.
are very much easier than compared to fixed income securities. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so when compared to bond valuation, when you came across the delta or
Mm-hmm.
the or you when you
Option
sorry, when you
option
come
valuation.
across the option valuation or the bond valuation, if you see that sorry, what was the part? I forgot actually.
Bond
No,
valuation, option
it
valuation, and VAR.
VAR. Yeah.
Yeah.
So so when
Book
it comes to
4, I
bond
mean,
valuation, when you,
so book 4, was it primarily difficult for you when you were preparing?
book four wasn't difficult because I have divided into chunks. I used to see book three and book four with the same
Okay, okay,
yeah.
all right. So your strategy was primarily the same that we were talking initially, that divided into futures, your options, your bond valuation, interest related topics. Then you have option
Mm,
valuation topics, VAR topic totally together. Then your stress testing together, and then
yes,
primarily going towards it. Okay, okay, great. And so uh, after FRM level 1, so you cleared FRM level 1 in November 2018. Okay,
yes.
and you appeared for level 2 in May immediately,
Hmm.
right? So if I'm not wrong, I remember our discussion that whether you should go for level 2 or not
Or
immediately.
not, yes,
Yeah,
yes. I
so
wasn't feeling that much confident to
yeah,
go
yeah.
for the FRM level 2.
So this is what I normally I told to Sunny also, and I've told to every student that once you're in the flow of studying, it becomes easy for you to pick up topics, and you have the FRM level 1 knowledge clearly with you, and you can use that knowledge because a lot of these topics which are advanced in FRM level 2, right? So when you were preparing for FRM level 2, was there a particular strategy that you used?
Uh, Of course, the subject wise, because the syllabus was
Hmm.
quite larger than the FRM level one compared to,
Okay.
because there are, yeah, it is more concept driven rather than
Okay.
yeah, practical problems
Right.
actually. So yeah, and because the operation risk is had a way more softer chapters in it actually, and so I had to actually finish operation risk first, because and
Okay.
throughout the syllabus, because you have to keep aside the operation risk book and you have to read it every day,
Yes.
and then go for some core subjects like market risk, credit risk, and other things.
Right, right. So primarily because FRM, sorry, the operation risk part is so exhaustive that when you
Yes,
prepare it, suppose you started with that and you keep on going with the other topics, you might actually forget. So that's the reason you have to keep
yeah,
on revising and revising and
keep
revising.
on revising and revising. Yes.
Right. In terms of when you're saying difficult topics or difficult book, which book you felt was more concept driven or more difficult, or it took some time for you to prepare?
For part two, if you're
Part
saying.
two. Yeah, part two.
Okay, so it's risk management and investment management. Yeah,
Okay.
it's,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. It is actually a small book, but and it has more.
Okay.
It has some kind of, yeah, factors and factor theories and alpha, and beta anomalies. Those kind
Mm-hmm.
of concepts. And I used to read from GAP as well, GAP books as well. Okay,
Okay.
so every time I uh, read those chapters, okay,
Mm-hmm.
factor theories or alpha, okay, I used to learn new thing every time. So it was not, yeah,
Okay.
it's like I'm reading first time, okay. So it
Okay.
was kind of a yeah, so it is more concept driven, it is
Okay.
very difficult. And but the calculation part inside that, if you see the marginal,
Yeah.
yeah,
Marginal
M
var,
bar
component
or
var.
the
Yeah.
marginal var, component var, that is very much easier compared to
Mm-hmm.
other, yeah,
So,
other quant driven.
when, if I'm not wrong, when you look for credit risk also, there were like three, four chapters which were kind of difficult. So primarily a bit
Yeah.
heavy. But if you take out those chapters, the rest of the entire book is not that difficult. For example, the collateral chapter.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So only the difficult was part was that rating methodology, or for example, credit derivative
So
chapter.
same thing I've used. I have divided into chunks. Some
Right.
securitization related chapters.
Perfect.
Then there are a lot of chapter related to your counterparty credit risks. Okay,
Right. Right.
and the first on the credit risk theories. Okay,
Okay.
first few
Okay.
chapters. Then comes a different chunk, that portfolio credit risk and the spread risk. That's
Mhm.
the different credit derivatives part. Though those
Right.
are really big chapters actually.
Right. So
And there is
primarily
one
those
more
difficult
chapters.
chapters.
Yes,
Those difficult
those I had to
chapters.
kept aside.
Yes. Okay.
Otherwise, because you are an 80 to 90% you are covered already, so
Right.
you have that confidence that you can actually do something with that as well. So you,
So when you look for the exam, FRM level 2 exam,
hmm.
what was the exam? Was it very difficult in the sense, was it very quantitative driven, or was it
No, it was it
concept
no
driven?
no it concept driven. It was actually concept driven.
Right.
Okay,
Okay.
and yeah, the but first thing, it was, yes, actually it was really difficult, because questions were more theoretical and concept based, and operational risk were, if you see, the questions were all from the practical perspective. What would you do if you're in that
Right.
situation?
Right.
Okay, it was case study driven. So even if you study all the operational risk chapter, you that won't be useful that much. Because
Okay.
you'll have to think from that perspective, that
What
if the
exactly you would
operational
do?
risk event, yeah, what exactly you would do. And
Right.
some of the questions were mixed from the credit risk or the market risk and the
Right.
operational risk.
So
Yeah,
this
questions
has
were
been
overlapping.
the trend of GAR, that for the level 2 they will mix up uh, two books altogether into one question. So even though you will find that it's only 80 question, but you'll find a lot of questions mixing with market risk or credit risk or market risk or operation risk, right? Because in level 1 it
Yes.
becomes very clear that you, when you read the book, you read the question, you know it's from book 2 or book 3 or book 4. But in level
Yes.
2 definitely it creates a lot of issue. So in the exam, so compare, obviously in level 1 there was time crunch, if I'm not wrong, right?
Yes.
For level 2, obviously 80 question in 4 hours, so you had an ample amount of time.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Right. So what was your strategy? So did you went for what do you say, best guess, or did you went for cancellation of the answers which you know it was wrong, and then you went ahead when you were solving for that exact day?
Yes. So it was actually the cancellation round, elimination round actually. So if you go
Okay.
through all of the subject, you would see 3 out of 4, or all of them 4 are you would see which is correct answer to you. Okay.
Okay.
So yeah, so the- because some answers were partially correct and one is accurately, one is 100% correct. So you have
Okay.
to select that. If you read, if you see, you would get to see answers with the options with the three lines. Okay. If you
Hmm.
try to skip, only you are reading on the first line just to see if it is correct or not.
Right.
So you might end up getting a wrong answer, because most of the answers are partially correct, but if you see whole sentence,
Yes.
then you'll come to know, okay, it is actually incorrect.
And I think so they do it primarily for you to waste your time, lose your
Hmm.
confidence. That's the reason they give
Yes.
you bigger answers in terms of options also. So definitely you might
Yes.
have gone and read the question 2, 3 times, 4 times to get the clear understanding about what they are asking, and then again reading
Hmm.
the options again 4, 5 times, and then picking up the answer. Right? That's a normal way because you have a lot of time. So time is not a constraint in level two as such.
Yes. Time is not a constraint.
Right.
but but I would suggest, yeah, definitely you should pursue, you should attempt the questions with the very short answers, very short questions, because
Hmm.
even though, because you are wasting a lot of time on the reading those question, if you don't understand that, it's kind of, you should keep aside for the, if you have a lot of time in the, in the end.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So
Yeah.
primarily, when you're going through the question, if you're not able to understand the question, then mark it, and you'll come back to that question at the end, primarily, right?
Yes,
So
actually, yes.
if I tell you in level one exam, so out of 100 questions, what was the on an average that you were able to solve in that day? Was it 80, 85,
So
90?
yeah, yeah. I was very confident in level one actually. Yeah, I
Okay.
was. I never had that much confidence in my school days actually. Yeah. So because before pass, prior to exam days, I was confident that yeah, I have done so much studies, because
Correct.
itna to ho gaya mera. I can finish.
Right.
I can
So,
pass. I know I
so
can pass.
primarily
But
because you
I have to.
solved the entire question bank once, right? If I'm not wrong, and
Yes,
that.
yes, yes, yes. And I was, yeah, because the only difficult part is getting, that kind of confidence is because the FRM, the syllabus is way too much deeper actually.
Mhm.
So it get difficult for you to understand if it is, you have actually done the preparation or not. So you have to keep the track of the subjects or the chapters you have completed. Then
Right.
you solve the question bank. Then you have that confidence that I have solved the question bank. I know it is done.
Okay.
Even though your mind tells you that it is not done, you have to go read again, because once you are starting to do the foundation theory, and then you jump to cons, then you'll come
Mhm.
to know, array, because I'm not able to recognize I'm not able to remember what was I used to study in the
Right.
quant risk, or other subjects, like.
Okay.
So I used to keep a track of records. So I had that kind of confidence, so it helped me a lot, because and you I was confident I have solved more than 80 80 questions, more than 80 questions accurately. Then
Okay.
15 were best guesses, and 5 I did not actually see the questions as well, because I had no time. Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
literally.
okay, okay. So primarily, this is what the normal students also face, right? I mean, there is a time constraint becomes a problem, and hence you will end up actually properly solving only 70 to 80 questions. The rest is what you will do with some animation, and that is what has been the strategy for a lot of the students as well. So after FRM, now once you completed FRM in May 19, after
Yeah.
this, what were the benefits, both direct and indirect benefit? What did you saw so in your career primarily?
So uh actually I was recognized in my team as well, because for this
Okay.
the achievement I have done. And even though my VP in Nomura, he
Hmm.
was actually expecting that I would ask him to, that I should move out from here. When I asked him that actually I want to move out in the risk department, I'm looking after opportunities in risk.
Uh-huh.
So the his words were that I was expecting you to come out to me. You reach out to, I was expecting you would reach out to me. That's why I already had spoken with some people working in the risk department. So if
Okay.
we came across the opportunities, we will let you know. Okay. So, and I have
Okay.
applied for some IJPs, and
Mhm.
I spoke to my VP, and he given me a green signal that if you want to go, no problems. You have done the hard work, and you have you have got the achievement, then you actually deserve, right? rather than some other person and asking for the same thing, he would allow me because I have done the FRM. That's why.
Right, right. So primarily, you showed that even if you were not from the risk background, you cleared the exam and you know the
Hmm.
basics, and hence you can apply for the role, right? Right.
Yes.
So internally, when you were going for roles also, so obviously
Hmm.
it might happen that every time you might not get the right role or might not get the right team. But what was
Hmm.
the, apart from the recognition side, what was the, was there any change in the behavior or change in the way people were looking at you in terms of as a associate or an analyst in the team or in the organization?
Yes, yes. Of course, there was a change because uh, my teammates, I used to train them on the FRM basics and statistics and quants as well.
Okay, okay,
And I was post clearing the FRM, I got involved into learning the codings as well. Python training and R trainings as well. So and I have applied something in some in my Nomura organization as well. I have applied some automations.
okay.
So yeah, so because and they had some kind of expectations from me as well, because
Mm-hmm.
since you have done the FIM and that is what is expected to do. So
So
and
basically,
yeah, of
make
course,
new changes and use your knowledge primarily, right?
use the knowledge primarily. Yes, yes,
Okay.
that
And
was
when you
yes.
applied for a other organization outside, so currently you're moved
Hmm.
from Namura. So when you moved,
Yes.
looking out for job opportunities, so was there any benefit that you had, or primarily because of the FRM tag that you saw in your CV?
Yeah, of course I had because before that I had the certifications on the GARP community. I received that you can use the FRM tag now, so
Mm-hmm.
it helped me in organization as well. Otherwise my professional social media as well, because LinkedIn, if you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I only had previously almost around 60 to 70 connections.
Okay.
So and the latter part after including the FRM and in my after my name, I got requests around more than 600 or 700 people, 600
Okay.
more people. Yeah, so
Okay.
I now have the 662 connection almost. So but they were actually I used to help people with the, if they were reaching out to me if there are opportunities available in Nomura, and I'm looking after clearing the FRM. How should I clear it? How should I go for it? So
Mm-hmm.
I used to came across that kind of queries. Okay,
Okay.
so it helped me there as well. And also of course my CV, because I can include some more of the things, because I know, because since I have
Mm-hmm.
cleared the FRM, the more the concepts of product valuation or the product risk calculation or the you know
Okay.
understanding the concept behind this. Yeah, because previously if you can include those points that I have the derivative product knowledge, but there is no background, there is no base of it. How
Right.
would you know? Have
Right.
you gotten from the YouTube or the some Google that everybody knows
Okay.
okay? If you don't have the experience, definitely you are learning from the online. Okay, but if you
Mm-hmm.
have a FRM base, so of course you are getting the knowledge from the so curriculums, and you have cleared the, you have actually proven it that you have the knowledge.
Okay, okay. And this helped in your interview also, right? Because in
Yes,
terms
yes.
of questions that were asking, so was it primarily on the FRM curriculum based questions, lot that you
uh,
faced in
yes,
the interview?
they were
Okay.
previously. First of all, they actually asked that what kind of work you were doing, and it
Mm-hmm.
is matching with my work as well or not. Okay, because you
Mm-hmm.
would, they expect you to do the kind of the same thing. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
but obviously, and I had come across some questions for like CV as well, because I'm working in the XVA middle office right now. Okay,
Okay.
so I came across the questions like what is the formula of the CVA? Okay, what is okay, and how the collateral threshold and the
Okay.
collateral threshold and the minimum transfer amount, MTA,
Okay. Okay.
questions like that. Also they had questions like if you if you know the knowledge of some coding as well. So
Okay.
I had some bit of knowledge on the Python and R. So
Mm-hmm.
asked me to important libraries regarding the data science. So yeah,
Okay. So
yeah,
basically, the terms that we're using CV and also primarily coming from the FRM level 2
FRM level
curriculum.
2. Yeah,
So
we have
that,
actually chapters for, yes,
yes, yes. So
entirely chapter.
so when we talk about So you move from operation side, post FRM, you move to risk side, right?
Yes.
So definitely in the interview, FRM related questions were asked, okay? Because coming into risk, you need to have some basic knowledge about risk, right?
Of course, yes,
So
definitely.
if I'm not wrong, that badly happened because of FRM. What's your take on that?
Yeah, yeah, I would say that it was happened because of FRM only, because otherwise I wouldn't have that got that job opportunity.
Okay, because primarily because you had an operation background, or else nothing. So because there was no IIM degree, there was no CA, or there was no other thing. But definitely FRM helped you to move. So I want the audience to also understand that it's not only about how bigger degrees you have. Even if you have a simple degree, also you can use that as a knowledge base to grow ahead, right? So
Yes.
right now, what kind of work you are doing? So can you explain to the audience what exactly you are doing?
Okay. So if you know that there is a XVA desk which is situated in very big banks actually,
Mm-hmm.
and what XVA does actually do that if the bank encounters any credit risk, came across any credit risk, okay,
Mm-hmm.
so it spikes up the CVA of the
Mm-hmm.
in the portfolio, and I'll have to actually look out whether it is CVA generating, it is false CVA, or it is a genuine CVA. Okay, if it
Okay.
is
Okay.
if it is a genuine credit risk, then we have to hedge. Otherwise, systems are not efficient enough to understand whether it is a covered call or the naked call. Okay,
Okay.
suppose it is a naked call. Okay, the system would see as a naked call because it has required if it has you know it is already has the equities of this those if they have
Mm-hmm.
received the collateral from the client. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
the system would not recognize. Then I'll have to reach out to some credit officers of the
Okay.
team that if so we'll have to manually zero override those risks in
Okay.
the calculation engine. Okay, also there is a calculation engine which simulates the tra- and simulates and calculate the CVA of uh,
For the counterparties
throughout
and all,
the.
right? Entire
No,
counterparty.
I would say that if it is a 10 years of interest swap agreement you are entering into, okay,
Mm-hmm.
so it would kind of simulate the mark to market and the exposures which would be generating.
Okay.
Okay,
Yes. Yes. Huh.
yeah, so and calculate the on the basis of that you would calculate the what
Right.
should be the risk amount, what is the CVA. Okay, would be there,
And that would
and I'll
determine
have
the
to
rate of interest where you are entering into IRS. So primarily,
yes,
your pricing and valuation of these credit derivatives will depend upon the CVA contract. And so you are primarily helping the desk to do the accurate pricing.
yes. So what actually desk do if I encounter some kind of genuine risk? So I would
Mm-hmm.
reach out to desk to know that it is we actually have the credit risk in this portfolio of the client.
Okay.
So desk will hedge those risks. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
by the CDS or the interest rates of anything. It
Mm-hmm.
would yeah, and then it would charge from the business desk,
Right.
those who are
Okay.
doing the business in the. Suppose if the creator is coming from the rates rates desk. Okay,
Right.
so yeah, the XVA desk would hedge it and charge the money to the
To rate
with
rates
those
desk.
rate desk. Yes,
Okay.
that you would
Okay.
have to pay now.
So a lot of these generally for the benefit of the audience, a lot of these banks have an XEV desk basically. So what would they do is generally is uh, in the lot of the transactions you have credit risk assigned, but you do not actually charge those credit risk as such. So you have a centralized desk which is helping all the businesses to calculate those credit risk amount, and they can appropriately charge in their product, right?
Yeah.
So that is the general structure, and this is where Sunny is currently working. And so thank you very much, Sunny, for putting your time and guiding the audience and letting people know what was your preparation strategy, and more importantly letting people know that it is not difficult to clear the exam in first attempt. Okay, that to back, coming from a
Thanks.
normal background, coming from a normal graduation, coming from an operations team, it is not difficult, right? So
Yes, sir.
few key tips, one or two quick key tips for the students who are preparing for FRM exam.
Okay. First, your of course time and dedication will come with your interest only. So if you have,
Mhm.
you should be very much interested with the subject, and you should be, understanding the whole thing. And
Okay.
uh, many of the students try to do it by their own.
Mhm.
So I wouldn't say it is that much difficult as well, but I should, because why coachings are important, I would say, why it helped me a lot,
Mhm.
because if you get into the syllabus is very vast. Okay, so you have to get some, you have to reach out to someone who has already done the, who have already seen the,
Right.
syllabus, can break it into some parts, and then you can study. Okay, if you
Mhm.
start study by line, you would, by the end of the line, you would forget what was in the first line, first line.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
yeah.
Right. Right.
So of course, and solving question banks is very important. Okay, and
Mhm.
not like, after the, completion of the chapters, rereading at least twice would be more than enough. And
Mhm.
then you get on the question bank and try to solve the question. If you are not able to solve, then what were you missed, then keep the keep the progress of your track records. Okay, so I maintained the Excel sheet for my preparation, because I wasn't confident enough that I have cleared, I have read it
Okay.
again, perfectly or not, accurately or not. So of course, because whatever you track and whatever get measured, it get improved. So you have to measure how
Perfect.
much, efforts you are putting, how much time it is required. So if you are, for for a, assume how much pages I want to read. Okay,
Mhm.
I had maintained the Excel sheet that that there are 400 chapters. Okay, 400 pages in that chapter, and I have read almost around 200. I have crossed around 300, 400. I have finished the book, and
Okay.
again for the twice, because I'll have to read it two
Revise.
times.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
revise.
Yes.
Yes, again.
Okay. So primarily revising it twice, the Schweitzer book and solving the entire question bank should ideally be able to clear the exam, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay,
Hmm.
great. Thank you, Sunny. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for the guidance. And definitely, your interview would help the audience and the students who are preparing for FRM exam in their way. How should they prepare and how should they go about? Thank you, Sunny.
Hmm.
Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you, sir.